Hi, my name is Doug Nisenson. I'm the head football coach at Thunder Ridge High School. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about defending the zone read and also defending trips out of an odd front, out of a 3-4 look. A few years ago here at Thunder Ridge, we went to a 3-4 defense. We were seeing a lot of teams spreading us out, a lot of teams getting in 3-by-1, and in our old 4-3 system, we were running over-under a lot of cover 3, and what we found is it was allowing a lot of offenses to dictate to us what we did, and allowing a lot of offenses to dictate what types of stunts we could run, what types of coverages we can run. So we kind of redesigned our defense. We base out of a 3-4, but we're kind of a multi-front defense, and we redesigned it with the idea of defending the spread. So one of the first things I'm going to talk to you about is one of the hottest plays in all levels of football, and that's just defending a zone read, and there's a couple ways we can look at it. If you look up top here, I've drawn up just kind of a base 3-4 look. Okay, we've got a 0, and something we do is we play with 2 5s. Okay, we do have fronts, so we'll reduce those guys down into 4s, which is what you could see more commonly out of a 3-4 defense, but we play them in 5s, and one of the reasons we do that is to mess up people who want to run zone read. Okay, so for us, our strong side backer, our Sam backer in this, really is kind of a glorified defensive end. He's going to rush probably 75–80% of the time. So if I'm telling the truth, what we kind of base out of here is a 2-gapping nose. We'll crash an end there into the B gap. We'll send our Sam here. Our end's off this backside edge, and our Jack has the weak side B gap, leaves our Mike free, or we can play games with our tackle and slant him and give that other gap responsibility to our Mike. Okay, so one of the things that we like to do against zone read, okay, are use these overhang players. We like to use these overhang players to kind of mess with the quarterback and make it more difficult on them to tell who the end man on the line is. Okay, usually this guy is about a yard off of our end and a yard off the ball, and what that does is it shows him, this D end here, as the read for the quarterback. So he comes up to the line, he sees the guy in the stance in a 5, and to him that's the end man on the line of scrimmage. Okay, and then what we usually do is when this guy crashes, that becomes a keep read for the quarterback, but we've also got this guy coming off the edge with the idea that he's going to go attack the quarterback. Okay, so when we play heavy zone read teams, we prepare for it that way, and it kind of depends on what you want to do. Who is the threat? Okay, if the threat is the tailback, if you don't want the running back to carry the ball, then give them a keep read every time. If you're not afraid of their quarterback running the ball, then make sure he's the guy who keeps it. Crash this end down, give him a keep read, and make their lesser athlete keep it. Okay, if you've got 2 guys that kind of scare you, then these are the types of games you can play. Okay, of crashing down this 5 and having this guy here to play the quarterback. For those of you who don't run a 3-4, it's kind of a simple little adjustment that you can do out of a 4-3 look as well. So if we come down here, what you can see is we've just got a basic over front here to strength. So we've got a 5-3, a 1 and a 5 backside. Okay, and if they want to run zone read here and we're afraid of the back and we want the quarterback to keep the ball, we'll run what we call a spike technique with this will linebacker. And all we're going to do here is we're going to tell this end to crash hard. Okay, and his job is to occupy this tackle on his zone step and also to kind of cave him down right into this guy. Our will linebacker is going to take 1 hard step down with the idea that he's immediately going to wrap. Okay, and if you look at the gap responsibility here, okay, we're still sound even with crashing this guy. We've basically replaced our will linebacker and our D-end's responsibility. So our will here really is playing the quarterback keep on this zone read, and our end is crashing to force the quarterback to keep the ball. The will, 1 step down, and then he's going to wrap, and he knows the whole time that he's going for the quarterback. Okay, so that's kind of a little way that if you can control who you want to get the ball, okay, then those are some of the things that you can kind of use. Now, what if the quarterback is the threat? Okay, if the quarterback is the threat, then to me that makes it even a little bit easier on you. Okay, because we can always tell our ends here to sit on the edge and do their job, right? We want you to squeeze down hard, so when that tackle leaves, we want to make sure we replace him, we get a hand on him, and we redirect him so that he's not able, excuse me, we want to redirect this guy right here so that he is not able to run clean to this will. Okay, so we're going to squeeze, and we're going to make sure, if this is the guy who scares us, we're going to make sure the quarterback keeps the ball. Okay, and if you look at this, what we really have here, okay, is we've got numbers to this play. Okay, so it's kind of depends on who you're trying to defend, who scares you the most. If they both scare you, then I would say mix it up. If they're both a threat, then you've got to kind of pick your moments to play those games. But those are an easy way, especially at the youth level, that you can teach simple techniques that don't require a ton of new install or a ton of your practice time. They're pretty simple techniques. That spike technique is just one hard step down, and it should look just like your run read step. And then he knows immediately I'm going to take a step with that opposite foot, and I'm going to work outside of this defensive end so that I have contained. So it's easy stuff to kind of install and work on. For you guys, since you might, I don't know how much film you get to watch, okay, so it might be something you have to decide in the game. If you don't know who you're going against, use that first quarter, play games a little bit and see who the bigger threat is and decide what you want to hang your hat on a little bit. Okay, but those are two really easy ways to defend the zone read. One other stunt I'm going to show you that hurts zone read badly is just a pirate stunt. And I'll show it out of a 4-man front. So if we're just in an over front here, okay, and you want to hurt a zone read play, you can run what's called, I'm going to flip them around here because you technically want to run it with your 3 technique and your 5 technique if you're a 4-man, if you're a 4-3 team. All a pirate stunt is we're caving down the line of scrimmage with our down lineman, and we're going to wrap our backer around. Excuse me, let me do this correctly. Okay, so if we went what we call Mike Pirate, or you could call it Pirate Strong, all you're going to do here is you're getting hard inside slants from your 3 and your 5, okay, and your Mike is going to wrap. And what that really should do is create some penetration, squeeze those gaps, and take away the natural lanes that occur from zone blocking. Okay, again, something easy you can teach. You probably already teach your defensive linemen to slant. All a pirate stunt is a double slant and an inside linebacker wrapping around, and you actually are still able, it's still only a 5-man rush, so you're able to do a lot of coverage things behind it. You can still play man free, you can still play a zone and give up a little bit. You just tell this Will, he's kind of got this center area right here, and you're giving up a little bit in that hook curl, but you can kind of do whatever you want behind it, which is what makes it simple. So if you're a heavy cover 3 team, you can still do that. If you like to run cover 2, you can still do that. And if you want to man people up, you can still do that, and you still got your free safety out here to play deep middle over the top, so it shouldn't be that hard for you to install. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is defending trips out of a 3-4 defense. As I said, one of our defense's biggest weaknesses in 2015 and prior was defending spread passing teams, especially the ones that got into 3-by-1 looks. We were really stout against the run. We did fine when we were able to play teams cover 3, but when teams got into trips and we had to adjust, it really allowed them to dictate what we did. So some of the ways we do that now. Okay, there's 2 modes of thinking here when you're defending a spread offense running trips. Okay, first thing is, what's their goal? Okay, is their goal to try and outnumber you over here to this trip side and throw into that? Or is their goal to try and isolate this guy backside here and throw one-on-one to him? Okay, and those are the questions that if you get to watch film, you might be able to answer ahead of time, or you kind of got to figure out on the fly when you're playing. But there's 2 ways to kind of do this out of a 3-4. Okay, I'm drawing some of this up with a 2-gapper. We're fortunate enough to have a 300-pound nose. I understand not everybody has that. We didn't have that last year. We slanted our nose and we gave everybody a gap responsibility to keep it sound. I'm going to draw it up with a 2-gap in here, but understand you can do the same thing with a 1-gap nose. You can slant him strong or weak, and then that other linebacker behind in the middle has that opposite A-gap. Okay, so we're going to start in here, okay, with our Mike and our Jack. And here's the games you can kind of play. First mode of thinking, are they trying to throw into the trips? If the answer is yes, then let's outnumber them. Because their goal in doing this is to outnumber us, so we want to take that away from them. Okay, and one way we do that is we'll make a call and we'll flip this Will linebacker. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. So basically, if we see trips, we have certain checks where we can flip him, and we have certain checks where we can leave him. And based on what our opponent wants to do to us out of this 3-by-1 look is how we decide what we're going to do and how we're going to use him. So what we're able to do here, if we flip this guy over, okay, is we are actually able, right now, what you're looking at is 4 versus 3, and we've got a deep middle safety here. Okay, so if their goal right now is to throw into the trips, it's not a good percentage look for them because we've got them 1, 2, 3, 4 against 1, 2, 3. Okay, so right now, if that's what that team wants to do, you're telling them we are going to take that away from you. Okay, and that's what we always try and look at on defense. What is the number 1 and number 2 thing that they want to do out of a formation? Let's try and take those 2 things away. Okay, defensively, you can never take it all away. So the goal should be to make them beat you with things that aren't their top priority, that aren't their top 1 or 2 things that they do. Okay, over here, there's a lot of games you can play. And I'm not going to get too complicated with you. One of the easiest things you can do, like I showed you out of our base defense, is you can just send that guy and you can play different kinds of things out here. You can play man-free. Not a great look if they're trying to run at you necessarily. Okay, but the other look you can give, okay, is double deep thirds. You get your flat player up here from your strong safety. Okay, and you've got your hook curls in here. Okay, depending on what type of threat this guy is, if he's not a threat, if he doesn't scare you, or if you have a corner that shuts people down, the easiest thing to do and the best way is to just man him up. Okay, that's not always a good answer, especially if that kid's a threat. But this is one example of what you can do. Okay, you can also play games with sending different people and replacing them with different people. Okay, so if we wanted to send our strong safety, we can start creeping him. We can send him. Our Will's going to bail to the flat. Okay, and our Sam's going to bail out to this hook curl. Okay, so there's all different kinds of games you can play with it, and you've got to decide who's our best personnel, right? If this Sam linebacker is just hell on wheels as a pass rusher, don't drop him into coverage. Do what he does best. Okay, so you've got to kind of gauge that by your personnel. All right, backside now. Couple different things we can do. Let's say we're playing a team and they get in trips because they want to isolate one man. And obviously we don't want to let them do that. Okay, so when we get those looks, okay, we won't always flip our will, and we'll make sure that we're not leaving our corner on an island, right? Don't want to leave him out here if this is the threat and this is the goal to get the ball to. Okay, unless this kid's just an absolute stud. Okay, so we'll leave our Sam out here. We'll leave our Will out here, and you might even tell your corner he can back off a little bit. 2 things you can do. Okay, we'll play 2 kind of looks against this. One of them we kind of call kick. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll roll our corner back as a safety. Okay, and we'll bump this Will out, and we'll put him head up on that X. Okay, now the idea here is that you are manned up with help over the top. Okay, our Will linebacker is somewhat of a hybrid. We actually call him our joker. Just trying to use terminology that'll work for everybody. Okay, our joker linebacker, or your weak side outside linebacker, if you're going to do things like this, he's got to be a guy who can cover. Okay, so we like to use our better pass rusher over here and our better cover guy over here, kind of your hybrid linebacker DB type. Okay, and what you want to tell this guy to do is get super aggressive. Okay, get up in his face, jam him hard, don't let him free release, don't let him outside release. Okay, funnel him inside, and what we're basically going to do, backside, it's going to look like a 2-man look. We've got one guy manned up underneath and help over the top, which is why he can get aggressive. Okay, sometimes those receivers that are big-time players, a lot of them don't like contact, and you can get them out of their element if you frustrate them and get them away from their release. Okay, now what are we doing to the trip side? Well, it's a cover 2 look to the trip side. Okay, couple ways you can do it, and we'll do it a few ways too. If you want to leave your ends off the edge, okay, what you'll need to do, don't rush 3 people unless they're absolute studs. We don't really ever do that. Okay, what we'll do if we're going to man up here is we'll trigger this jack in here. Okay, or your weak side inside linebacker, and you can play different games. Sometimes we'll do stuff like that. Okay, so you're still getting a 4th rusher involved. Of course, it helps if you can 2-gap. Okay, if you can't 2-gap, you have to play some games to just make sure your gap's sound. Okay, but if it's a team, we play some teams that'll throw 60 passes a game, so we don't worry too much about the few times that they might hit us in the A-gap. We're confident that we can come up from the 2nd and 3rd level, make a tackle, they might gain some yards, but that's not what they're trying to do. Okay, so if they're trying to spread us out and throw and they can beat us running in the A-gap, then they're a better team than we are, and they're beating us with their 3rd and 4th option. Okay, so that gives you kind of an extra guy there. The other way you can do this, okay, is you can back your corner off and play your Will splitting the difference, and you're basically going to bracket him, except your corner is going to play a deep third, and your will is going to drop underneath, trying to take away a curl and a slant. Okay, so now we've still got two guys committed to this isolated threat over here. Okay, and then over here to the trip side, again, we can play games with our Mike, sending him as the fourth rusher. Okay, if we want to man up and take a shot, we might do some of these things sometimes. Okay, and we might take a play where we man up here, especially if we know they're trying really hard to push the ball here, because we've got 2-on-1, and we think we can get here off the strong side before they can complete a pass over to that isolated side. Okay, if you don't want to sell out and you want to play it a little safer to the trips, okay, then what you can do, basically you've got 2-on-1 over here, and what you can do is play a man-free look. Okay, and now you've got a deep middle guy to play over these three. We've got two committed over here. We still have contained players. Here's our two-gapper. Okay, and our inside backers have the B gaps. Okay, so a couple different ways you can look at defending trips. Those are just some of the ways we do it. And again, it really comes down to what is your opponent's goal and what are they trying to accomplish. Okay, and that's how you can play games with your numbers. Another way you can do this, if you're not into flipping a guy over, or maybe your backers are all very similar players, you can slide them out. So you can slide your Jack over here to Mike, you can bump your Mike out onto the edge, you can slide your Sam out wider, and your Will comes in the box. That's the other way you can do it without running a guy all the way across the field, and that is an adjustment we will use if our kids miss the call. So if we miss a call and we need to make that call and we don't get him over fast enough, we never want a guy running across the defense right when the ball is going to be snapped. So what we'll do is we'll just tell our linebackers to slide, and we'll live with it for one play, even though those aren't necessarily maybe our best guys to slide out there and cover. It's better than having a guy completely lost behind linebacker depth running across the ball before it's snapped.